So, actually there's sort of because I was not at the 2009 event, and I remember hearing about it and thinking, how cool is that? And this is a wonderful thing that we brought on. I know there was some effort to try to get another event going in 2010, and that didn't happen for various reasons. And I don't know what happened in 2011, but in 2012, Kevin asked me if I'd be interested in serving on the board of the Buddhist Recovery Network. And like Paul, I was like, I'm not an author, I'm not a teacher, I'm not a head of a lineage, I'm just a drunk who happens to know some Dharma. And but I was also honored. Oh my God, I get to sit on the board of the Buddhist Recovery Network. Whoa! I'm going to be hanging out with all these luminaries. It's going to be amazing. So I did. I jumped in. This was around late 2012. At the time, there was 10 people on the board. And by early 2013, there was 4. And I was vice president. And, it was interesting. It was just at a time where, folks who'd sort of been on the initial thing were wanting to sort of move on and bring in the new blood. We were the new blood, but unfortunately, we just didn't have any institutional memory. So the people who kind of knew what had happened before us were gone. We actually, one of the women had all of the documents, all of the bylaws, all of the stuff that had been set up, and her computer crashed the week before she left the board, and so all that stuff was lost. I think we might have recovered some of it through other things, but so we were sort of like the blind, leading the blind. We were sort of like, well, what do we do, and what's our purpose here? And we had to sort of reinvent, and I actually spent a chunk of time last night looking through the minutes of meetings, and they were a lot of just like, who are we? What are we doing here? But looking at all of these same ideas, what is Buddhist recovery? What is our job? How do we want to be as big a tent as possible in getting meeting listings in here? But how big is that tent? If there's if it's mindfulness based but it's not Buddhist, does that belong? Does a AA 11th step that has meditation but doesn't make any mention of Buddhism, does that belong? And same with links. We get requests every day from people saying, hey, I want to do a link. I'll put your link on my site and you put my link on your site. And we sort of made the decision. We said, look, if it's not Buddhism and recovery, there's plenty of Buddhist sites out there with tons of Buddhist links. There's plenty of recovery sites out there with lots of recovery links. If we're going to have something distinct, it has to have both of those distinctions. But we're just always hit up with people that are doing, well, I'm doing Reiki healing in recovery. How about that? And we're having to say that sounds fabulous, but it's not Buddhist recovery. So we gradually started to do that. I would say, our biggest accomplishments over the years were twofold. One was really working on the website, and for that we have Dhritamati and Calico really to thank. To kind of update the website, to make it mobile friendly, and the whole iPads and iPhones kind of came on while we were debating this stuff, so we wanted you to be able to go to the site on a mobile, and we contacted every meeting person who was listed on there and just said, is your meeting still happening? And we had a great response from that of people saying no, or yes, but it's at a different date and time or whatever, but we really started the dialogue with meeting facilitators to just make sure that our website is as open as possible. And I'll just say, as accurate as possible, I should say. And I should say that's one thing you guys can do, regardless of your involvement with BRN, is take a look at the meeting listings, especially where you are or where you've traveled, and let us know, is this accurate? Are these meetings still happening? Is there other meetings that we're not listing? You know, we really need everybody in the community to help that to keep going. We think we can have a much more robust book and downloads and links section, and I think we'll break into groups to look at that. The other big, you know, I think thing that we focused on was we discovered, you know, Deborah and Calico and Northwest Buddhist. Northwest Buddhist Recovery, you know, we started to really explore this idea of regional BRN areas because of the incredible work that Deborah has done with her, you know, really creating a very great Buddhist recovery Sangha in the Northwest. And, you know, obviously the closer you get to the meetings on the ground and whatever, the more you can affect what's going on. And you know, our question is can we get regions going in Northern California, Southern California, Northeast, you know, various regions in Canada, England, Australia, New Zealand, you know, wherever, to really, because that's where we think that a lot of the work and energy and excitement can happen is on a regional level. So, so that's really, you know, it's funny because I was looking, you know, at all these meetings, and as the sort of de facto president since 2014, you know, and with my own proclivity for self-criticism, I'm like, oh God, you know, I could have done so much more. Why didn't I get this done? Why didn't I get that done? You know, but the fact is we all have limited bandwidth, and we're all sitting here trying to make a living and work our own local programs and have a family and a household, and I pick up lots of dog poo. That takes up bandwidth for my 2 dogs. So what's needed is to combine bandwidth. And you know, I was sort of getting depressed last night, and then Kevin walked up and he said, "Well, there's this," and it is true. You know, this meeting happened. I mean, there was a point where the BRN, where it was just me and another person, Lucia, who's not with us but is maybe interested in rejoining, but everybody else had dropped out, and I, for a while, just was like, well, maybe it just needs to die. I can't do this. I can't carry it all on my own, and nobody else seems to want to do it. So it really, BRN went dark for about 6 months. And then I just couldn't, you know, I couldn't walk away. I just could, every day I woke up going, ugh, I need to revive. And so I sent out a letter to the few people that I knew, and I'm like, I just need help. We need to get going again. We can't just let this thing die. And from that, we really kind of came back, and we got Deborah and Calico and Dridamati and Amara. Really good energy. We started to reconnect, and even though, and I will always say, George and the folks at Northwest Dharma, you know, they made this meeting happen, but this meeting is a result of not letting BRN die. So we need to not let BRN die ever again, and the only way that's going to happen is by getting a lot of energy, because we all have limited bandwidth, but when we put it together, it's a whole lot of bright spectrum Buddhist recovery that we can bring to ourselves and those who still suffer. So that's my little spiel. Thank you all very much.
Okay, I'm now going to invite Deborah and Calico to get up and just talk to that decentralised regional group thing, which is, I invite you to think about, like, at your local level, how might you be able to do such a thing and plug into the resources.
Hi everyone. I'm going to talk for a second first. My name is Deborah, and I'm the founder of Northwest Buddhist Recovery, and this is my dear friend and cohort, Calico. I want to talk just a tiny bit, let you know about how Northwest Buddhist Recovery started. I'm very nervous, I'm sorry, but I'm just going to look at your faces and feel love, and hopefully I'll mirror it back to you. So, in going through, so we started I founded Northwest Buddhist Recovery in I started in 2011. So in 2009, I went in Seattle and saw Kevin Griffin, which is most people in Seattle will tell you that's when they started their meeting. Of his event, when he came and talked about his book, I think it was One Breath at a Time. Burning Desire. Thank you. You're right there. So, so Kevin came and he did an event in Seattle, and at the end of the event, it was right after the conference, the Buddhist Recovery Conference, and he was really jazzed, and he said, anybody wants to start a meeting, come and see me afterwards. And so what came from that was 4 meetings, and people all got together, and there were 4 meetings, and I went to see him as a person in recovery, and I immediately started going to all of the meetings and realized this is amazing, but I cannot do 90 and 90 with 4 meetings. 2 of them are on the same day, and there has to be more meetings. There has to be. And I got very enthusiastic, and my lovely husband, who loves to plant seeds, says, well, maybe you should start a meeting. Oh my God, I can't do that. I can't even talk in front of 2 people without shaking, So I did, and and things just snowballed, and it seemed like from the beginning I realized that I started a meeting, but as a facilitator, I was going online, finding all the other meetings and calling them and going, hey, you're a facilitator, I am too, we need to get together. I think we all should just come to my house and have a little meeting, and we'll talk about Buddhist recovery, and it's really hard to get facilitators together, and it still is. I don't care. There are like 20 meetings that we list on our website in Western Washington now, and it started out as Seattle Buddhist Recovery, and then we had to do Northwest because just people were calling us saying, well, I want to be on your website, and I'm in Olympia. Well, I'm up in Bellingham, I want to be on your website. So I went through, and it's been 6 years. We started Northwest Buddhist Recovery, the resource, in 2012. And in that time, I was really into community outreach, and that's just me. From the beginning, I wanted to pull the facilitators together. And then I wanted to bring people, and I said, I'm going to get Kevin Griffin and Noah Levine and all these people to come and speak to our groups. And Calico was like, yeah, tone it down, And I was like, no, we can, I said, just get out of my way. And so, he was the webmaster. I don't even use my cell phone. And I would come to him and say, I want to have this thing where the facilitators can go on the website and they can talk to each other and all this. And he's like, do you realize what that's going to take from me? No, I don't, but I don't want to know. I just want you to do it. So anyway, we did many events, and it was really fun, and I'm an organizer, so, I reached out, I went online, I saw Vimala Sara, and was like, I need to have an event with that woman. She's amazing. I want her to speak to our groups. And the groups kept growing, and through that we had this wonderful, we would plan an event. We would send out monthly emails. We started doing emails to the facilitators, send them out. They would promote the event within their group, or promote whatever it was that we wanted, print out meeting lists off the website, encourage people to go to the website, have cards there. We started pulling together trainings, I have some training experience in support groups, so I've had several different trainings from different places, and I just kind of developed a thing where I wanted it from the beginning to be inclusive. Our website was, whatever recovery path that you're on, you're welcome at these meetings, and the meetings were very diverse. And so anyway, so what I realized, I was going through my computer and pulling together all the old flyers and things we've done, and pull tab things and stuff from the beginning. Oh, that only had 4 meetings on it. Oh, that's so cute. And
they're over there.
Yeah, and everything. Please look at our table, and it's the history of NWBR, and I can't tell you all in 5 minutes. And and go on our website. It's amazing. He did an incredible job. But in thinking about what I wanted to talk about and how I wanted to present this, I thought, what is it that a regional group can do that BRN cannot do. And it comes down to being down there in the trenches and supporting the facilitators. And I need to take a second and do something. I want all of the facilitators in the room to please stand up so that I can acknowledge you. Without the facilitators of these meetings, there would be no BRN, there would be no NWBR. And all of you, I know what it's like to be a meeting facilitator. I know what it's like to be out there and not have the support. And what do I do when this happens? What do I do? You know, and that's a part of the facilitator training that I hope is addressed, you know, because they need our support. So in looking through everything, I realized that there were 3 components to a regional group. There's Sangha building, first of all, getting the facilitators together, providing them with the support that they need to be successful in their groups and growing new groups. However that looks, I think it should be done through BRN and filtered through the regional groups. Then there's community outreach. You know, the development of educational materials and having them available on a website so that we can get them to the facilitators so they can get to the people in recovery. And then the last, and you do that also through events, you know, not just educational materials, but bringing Kevin Griffin, you know, providing him a venue, bringing Vimala Sara, introducing her to the groups. Every time I brought someone, a new group would come out of it. A new meeting would come out of it. So it was incredible, and that's how it was like 3 or 4 years we went from 4 meetings to 20. You know, it was amazing because it just grew like that. The last thing that I think is really important for regional groups is collaboration with your community, developing partnerships with the Buddhist community. People like the Seattle Insight Meditation Society, the Bellingham Insight Meditation Society, local temples. People contact us all the time. We want to have a Buddhist recovery meeting at our temple. We want to have a Buddhist recovery meeting at our, you know, and because we're right there, because we can get on the phone with people, because we can go to a meeting that's struggling and support them, they can email us, you know, because there's only 20 meetings. You can't do that with, how many meetings are on the BRN site now?
Over 200.
Oh my God, yeah, so there's no way you can do that. It has to be done on the grassroots level and grow from there. So, you know, as a person who did this, I have never done anything in my life. Anything. And this to me is the biggest thing I have ever done because, and it was easy. All I had to do was show up. All I had to do was have enthusiasm, and I had to kind of do it for 6 years. But I never knew that was going to happen, but it did, and I was okay, you know. So it's been the most exciting and from a personal view, the Sangha that I have connected with, it just gets greater and greater, and that whole, you know, it's just one mind and one heart, and you know, so I encourage people. I just think it's an incredible thing, and whether the regional groups are connected to BRN or they operate on their own and just, you know, communities get together. The first thing I did was find out there were people out there already doing it. I didn't have to start all those meetings. We did start a lot of them. But, you know, and being inclusive, you know, it's like, so there's a 12-step in Buddhism meeting. So there's you know, an 8-step recovery meeting. There's a Noble Steps meeting. There's a Dharma study meeting where people open up suttas and they meditate together and they discuss them. And how does that apply to my recovery? You know, there's so many things, and it's just like they were all going on. I just reached out and said, hey, we have this website. We want to support you. You want to be on it? Hell yeah. You know, and it was just yes, 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 you know. So all I had to do was be there. And if there's just any of you that are willing to just be there, even for a little bit of time, it's easy. It's rewarding. You will grow, and you will be supported and realize what an incredible community this is. So, and what an incredible path. So, yeah, did I cover?
Okay. Welcome to either sit or stay.
I want to watch.
Want to watch? Right.
Yes.
I figured you might. So, since much of what we do is web related, I and it needs visual aids. I got a little, and of course it didn't keep my, there we go, okay. Is that visible, everybody? Good. Okay. So, right, thank you George and Deborah for doing the intro to this, really. This is how to make this really easy. So, BRN today is, we consider ourselves an affiliate to BRN. We have meeting listings, articles, other resources. We don't get a lot of people coming to our website, but when they come, they spend a lot of time there reading. Websites are hard to do that with. So, and then here's where I'm trying to put the meeting events and the meetings in the same thing. Is like upcoming is this Buddhist Recovery Summit, and you can also go to a meeting. The experiment is to try to put them into one list. People come and they want to see what's coming up. One of the problems that addresses as well is if you're just talking about the occasional speakers that come to town, it's like pretty sparse. But if you include the meetings and that together, it's rich and there's a lot to say with what's going on. So I'm hoping putting them together, we will have that. We have been talking a lot about what does it mean to be a BRN affiliate and what are the benefits as well. So I'm going to segue into the BRN part of my talk here. BRN can be an umbrella org. It has a bank account. It's got a 501c or C3. We can plan events together like this one. We can share in promotions. So we're trying to vet that out. What is it like to be an affiliate of BRN? I won't say any more because I think George did a good job talking about that. And then also, most sites don't have regional websites. Most people find the lists through like this. They type Bay Area Buddhist Recovery or just Buddhist Recovery and Google Ads Bay Area. And they're finding two things when they do this right now, which is good because maybe 2 years ago they found almost nothing. They're going to find the BRN's website, which is our bandwidth is a little bit constrained, I guess, which is the listings of an area. Here's a California example, and mobile and non-mobile. So that's great. People are finding those now on the web. Thanks to Damati for doing the work to make that. They're also finding refuge recovery because now refuge recovery has their meetings by state. And just that simple act is all said and now it's like, okay, now people can ask what's going on. And it's actually working too. And I love that they have the map. And I know Gina's saying that they're changing their website yet again, but I mean, this is just even night and day from the first one. What's that?
Working on the map.
Working on the map. Yeah, we're working on a map as well, yes. So this is great, meeting list, right? But what can we do more that a regional site can do is regional sites can also include other events, local resources, meditation opportunities. A lot of people want to expand their practice beyond just the Buddhist recovery meetings. And that's one thing that BRN can't really do on its own. So that's one reason we're here today is to try to kind of make a pitch for getting some help with making these happen. So I just kind of put together before the meeting like, oh, Bay Area, what can I find? And I found some links in the Bay Area, some upcoming events, and then a list. So what I think we have is we already have meeting lists. We could partner with other people in the region and maybe put together a little more for people that don't want to do a whole site like Northwest Buddhist Recovery. And I even question whether we need a site, honestly. If this is done well, this might be enough. Let's see, what else did I put together? Right, so but also though, say if we did have a site, you could also be a jumping off point or a portal. We could, BRN doesn't have to explain everything about Northwest Buddhist Recovery. It can just be the jumping off point. So this is another way we can go, is just when people do have sites, we can be what I call a portal to that. What is a region? It's geographical somewhat, but it's also really, we have to have somebody who's a contact. As these meetings go more and more peer facilitated, less and less are we going to have somebody we can write to about that meeting. In fact, we kind of rely more and more on somebody that knows their region. And then they're going to keep it current, and they're going to be able to add those links about local events. And we want to empower that. And we can do that through web-based tools, letting people do it themselves. We don't have to have people email us to, it's a little funny, but lists of meetings, and let them self-manage. And Dridamati and I are excited to maybe work on that with some people. You get there and you're not in WordPress trying to do a page, you're just filling out a form. So it's actually not that hard. Or
Go back and explain what you were just talking about.
well, I mean, just like so like the web form is like, you know, you just say like, what is your time of
Like a
day?
region for a meeting? Or
Yeah, for a meeting in this case. But the same thing for an event or a listing, we could make it pretty
So
easy.
people could enter their own information rather than sending it to you and you guys enter it.
That's right.
Is that what you're?
Yeah, that's what we want to empower people to do their own thing and keep it current. So what happened there?
Would there be the availability to add a flyer for an event?
Yeah, actually, like upload, and that's what we needed to have the conversation is what do you want for your region? Because we don't want to just guess and build something like tools. So I'm saying we can build the tools.
Calico,
Yeah.
with that tool of people editing meetings and putting their meetings in, does that mean that you could go on to other meetings and delete them?
No,
So, yeah,
that's where the regional owner would have the account for their region.
right.
I mean, people like Drittamati and I might have all that power, but
Yeah.
but you know, we know how to use our power, right? So, and then I've been thinking a lot about something like refuge recovery, where they're not sure if they want us to be the authority on their meetings, and I think we could also like bring in their information to our site and link out. We don't have to explain refuge recovery, but we would like a one-stop shop for somebody in recovery to see what's going on in their area. So there's technical ways to make this easier. I was talking with Gene the other day about that, and I think that we could do that if the National Council wants that. And regions don't have to be geographical, right? What's online? That's a region. But it's not geography. So you know, again, having that leader, that owner, that person that can speak for the region is what's needed there. And then programs, I kind of think of those as potential. The same model could exist for 8-step recovery, Hungry Ghost retreats. We could have a program page that was operated in the same way, where it's all the 8-step recovery meetings or all the you know, yeah. So that's that. And we also know this is the baseline. You know, there's like this is a place where Instagram is heavily commercialized. People are paid influencers. Facebook, that's already old news. What's next? You know, the website really is just kind of the baseline. It's the database of information that we're trying to build that is going to go into the future. And then I'm also questioning this whole everybody expects ratings and reviews on products, on services these days. Wow, wouldn't that be kind of intimidating but powerful to have people be able to rate and review meetings? I don't know about that, but people expect that. So we have to address that. People do expect that. And it's like, I don't want to go there, but... So that's the future, but we need this baseline. So, and we need people to work with. We need to know what you want on your regional site, what you need, and just do it together. So that's, you know, there's a sign-up sheet here. There's, you can approach me or email me about it. There'll be a breakout session about this. You know, it's a partnership, and we want to do what is needed to help the benefit the people in recovery. So, and that's all I got.
Great.
Wow.
It's very interesting, that concept of rate meetings, because we know that in academia it's like rate your lecturer.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I have a dear friend, a Sangha member, and I mean, I knew that they were having difficulties at work, and just, you know, one day I went online and I just saw what was online about this particular person, and I just don't think it's a Buddhist way.
Okay.
You know, I think that if people will want to rate meetings, they will do anyway. They don't
Right.
need, you know, it's just one person might say something and then it gives permission to people to say a whole, and it's on there. So I hope you don't go down.
Yeah.
Yes. But,
Let's give Calico 5 stars right now for his presentation.
So I just wanted before, actually, if you have questions about this, then it's probably a great idea for to join us in the website breakout to really dig into this. So before you say anything, I want to say something, which is what I should have said when I was talking about the recent history of the BRN, which is that one of the great additions has been Bimala Sara, who is not an official board member by her choice, But she has given us so much time and guidance and energy and love that I would be remiss without thanking you for that as well.
I just want to bring Amara back into the space because, you know, the vision of Amara and George about having this summit. And basically Amara said to me, I want certain people in the room, can you do it? And basically George and Amara had the vision of, you know, maybe 20 people. And I'm like, oh, no. We came to see the site and we knew we had 40 beds. And then it was like, you know, we were getting more people and we had this tense moment. I'm saying we need more people. And George is saying we need to come down here to see what beds we've got. We've got 50 or 60 people booked and they're saying only 30, 40. We get here and poor George and Emma are told there are only 23 beds. I've got 23 beds. And just the way that George Raffin skillfully
Bit your head off.
But how skillfully you handled that. It was just like, okay. And then it all, you surrendered. We turned it over and here we are. So I just want to really acknowledge George Stratford.
Okay, I think it's your show. Although, so far, I did this meeting for Buddhists.
Not quite.
Yeah. Okay, so just to recap the format here, we do want to sort of do these breakout groups, have some reporting back, and we're trying to ambitiously do this by 12. What I think would be good is just to get a general consensus on what these breakout groups should be about. We have 4 ideas here which we'll revisit, but is there anything that people think that we should be doing that we're not doing that's not on the list? Kevin Green?
It would be interesting, and this is something that Lasara and I were talking about over breakfast, I teach retreats, but it would be interesting to have actually a Buddhist Recovery Network retreat rather than a conference.
Yeah.
A sitting retreat, that was authorized by and then led by Buddhist Recovery Network teachers, and it could be I guess you want to have a breakout group, so I have several ideas about that. So
Because we're going to have to gravitate to 6 because we've got 6 rooms at the point. So we might do a show of hands at the end around these various ideas and see where the market.
do you want me to say any more right
Yeah,
now?
no, absolutely.
Okay, I'll just say that. We have Zen teachers here. We have Vipassana teachers. Different traditions, and that's kind of not something that's done. The different traditions teach a retreat together very much, but if it was under this aegis of recovery,
Just like
and the teachers got together and decided on a format. But just to say that, to me, the chance to go deeply with your practice as a meditator depends upon some silent retreat practice. No amount of meetings or 20-minute sittings is going to take you to the same place. And that if this community is going to grow and mature, that's where I think some really important work can take place.
Paul, can I just make a suggestion that we could treat that as a separate entity in the discussions if we want to, or if we find that could easily be folded underneath the subject of BRN summits in general. Like, could we have sort of a group of people that really think about and help organize not only an annual maybe conference like this, but retreats and other events BRN sponsors?
Well, the thought on my part was alternating years.
Oh.
1 year a retreat, 1 year a summit.
Awesome. So even more so to treat it as sort of one entity that is handled by, anyways, just a thought.
Okay, very good.
Yes.
I've just been like, why am I even coming to this meeting today? Because like, I can't help, don't volunteer for anything because I'm maxed out. And part of it is that I am an only parent. I'm now paying for college, which is a lot easier than raising a kid. But I was so impressed by the presentations here and Calico's presentation, and I realized that I want to go to the website meeting and volunteer to be a region for parents of young kids because there's not much I can offer right now, but I want to at least put it out there.
That's fabulous.
I'm also thinking about Europe as one area, and maybe like even Scandinavia, you know, and wondering if there are people, many people from Europe that would like to discuss that.
We'll put it down here. It can, like yours thing, be folded back into this broader affiliate discussion. But we can put that Europe.
That's kind of under the
Yeah.
umbrella of the
That's
region.
right, yeah.
Can I speak to that point?
Yeah.
Related to that, very closely related to that, is the whole question of language and whether or not the VRN is fundamentally English speaking.
Very good point. Very good point.
And that kind of underpins, and I think there needs to be a recognition that if you're going to go beyond that, it's a huge undertaking. So it needs to be done in context.
Yeah, the reason why I'm asking about this is that because in AA I'm involved, I'm both in the board of European young people in AA and Scandinavian young people in AA conventions. So, yeah.
That's good.
This kind of speaks to the retreat concept. I appreciate the point of deepening one's practice in meditation through retreat. It's something that's encouraged in refuge recovery as well. It's something that I can't afford, and I think a lot of recovering addicts and alcoholics, especially new in recovery, it was more affordable for me to come here because I could drive from Portland. I would love to go to a week-long retreat. It's I don't know how people do that, taking time off of work and spending $1,000. So I don't know if that's a subject that we could tack on to that, but also considering that 12 steps are traditionally no requirement for attendance and being able to source resources from a larger body to pay for conferences or whatnot. But I just wanted to kind of raise the flag of privilege here. And as much as I think it's a great idea and that everyone should have the opportunity, I don't really think that that's true.
So that's sort of an access sort of issue, because the whole thing.
Thank you.
Well, can I also, we've forgotten to mention, or perhaps we have, but our dear Amara, who isn't here, was desperate that we also find someone to take over his responsibilities as treasurer. And, you know, that's not necessarily a topic of discussion, but it's something for people to think of if there's somebody who has skills in that regard. And the flip side of that, and maybe that is either another discussion or whatever, is fundraising. Because part of what BRN would love to do would be to, you know, within the bounds of not being greedy, but being able to raise funds for scholarships for people to be able to attend meetings.
I was done for this event.
Yeah.
So there were scholarships available for this event, so that's a part of the grace.
I would like to just say something briefly on that, because I'm not going to go to that one, but Menlo, which is a retreat center in New York, has asked me to join their faculty and start doing some Buddhist recovery retreats, and the conversation that we had was offering scholarships. So, and also not for them to be week-long so that they can be affordable, and the idea will be bringing in different Buddhist recovery Dharma teachers. But I also do want to say that actually it is, there is privilege, and I remember somebody saying to me that this whole thing about money, and you know, I know for myself that I'll leave it there because it will be long-winded, but I do think that if we think about, that's what I want to say, if we think about how much money some of us spend on our addiction, that money could pay for retreats. So I want to put that in the space and there.
and that actually there is something about privilege, but there's also something about what we choose to spend our money on. And I know I spent a lot of money on my addiction.
Actually, just with it, I'll come back to you. In terms of the BRN board thing, I think I should point out that we probably be down to like 3 directors probably shortly after this meeting. We probably can have a capacity of 10 to 12 on the board. So there's a number of places that are available. If you had a specialist sort of, expertise in finance, if you're a lawyer, if you're a fundraiser, if you actually want to, as part of your like setting up an affiliate, be on the board of the Buddhist Recovery Network and plug in to the board, that's all up for discussion because there are going to be a number of vacancies.
So this may go under the BRN retreat idea, but this is so broad and international and lovely. But where my mind went was local, just because like I would love to have that cross-tradition day retreat or what have you, just in the Seattle area, or wherever. And so I'm wondering if in areas where there is already a lot of groups going on, if that could be an idea too, is to promote affordable, maybe less intense, local, coming together of the different traditions.
We're already doing that in Portland, by the way.
Oh, cool.
And we did that with our website as well. You attended
Right.
several events. And just to say that every event that we ever did for Northwest Buddhist Recovery was completely Dana-based.